Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the call. This training session, which will continue our series on Siemens PLC. Today's session will be a little short because most of what needs to be done will be done by you. I'll guide you, but this session would be an introduction to what you need to do. So, uh, as we start, I'll try and explain what I have in this note. So this note that I created is for you to be able to go through so that you can install the software that we want to use for this PLC programming. First and foremost, please do all your installations on your C drive. Whenever you're installing, mostly if you're using Windows, I'm not so familiar with Apple MacBook, but with Windows, it would ask you where you want to do your installation, especially if you have different partitionings on your PC. So please do all your installations on your C drive. Secondly, I would like you to download Power ISO. Um, it's a free software for the trial period, and that should be enough for you to install all the other softwares. So the Power ISO software is a software which you can use to zip and unzip. You can use to mount drives on your PC. When you get to the part where you would need it, we will also discuss it. So here I've included the link which you can click on, which takes you directly to the website where you can download and install. So this is actually download and install for all actually. So for most of you, you'll be using the 64 bits. I think most of your PCs now are 64 bits. So just directly click on the 64 bits option. Also, I want you to download and install WinPopCap from this link as well. Um, this is required when we start doing communications from from the PLC to your laptop, from your laptop to your PLC. Basically, this helps with communication interconnection. The next step would be for you to register on the Siemens support forum. Without this, so I'll just open it now. If you register on the Siemens support forum, then you would be able to do downloads and all of that. So currently what it's showing you is the German version. You can probably click on your region and then you say, or just go to the global website, which is in English. Then you need to register. You need to look for somewhere here to register. And then when you register, you should be able to have access to their downloads. You can also read a lot of information from here. I think we'll check with another link now. So actually this should bring you to this forum. Let me check. Siemens Global Forum. Yes, this one. Is it same page? Okay, good. So basically here, I'll change this link. I'll change this link, and that is where you should, yes. So that is where you should register. And once you register there, you have access to quite a lot of Siemens resources. You'll be able to do downloads and all of that. When you're registering, you can also put it there that you're a student. You can put it directly there that you're a student, and then you should be able to get access. Now, After registering on the Siemens support forum, you would then be able to download files. One of the files that you need to download is the TIA version 20. TIA version 21 is out now, but I want us to work with the TIA version 20 because TIA version 21 is currently being used by the professionals on the industry, testing new things and all of that. And to be sincere with you, the last version that I actually really used when I was doing active programming was TIA version 16. So since then, there's been 4 different versions. So with you, I will be using the TIA version 20 for the first time. So we'll both go through the learnings together. I don't expect a lot of changes, but there should be some. I've also here included the link where you can download this. So if you click on it, it takes you directly also to a similar website. You see right here, it shows my name and it shows logout, meaning I already logged in. And that's why you need to register on the platform. Because I'm already logged in, I have access to download the softwares. So I hope you can see my screen clearly. So what you see here is 2 different DVD files for the setup. So there is DVD setup 1, there is DVD setup 2. You should download both of them. When you download both of them, you should also download this DVD 1 setup for PLC Sim. Now, PLC Sim means PLC simulator. It's a PLC simulator. This one here is step 7. Siemens calls their programming devices, the PLCs, this product range, they call it step 7. So when you install this, then we need to also install the PLC simulation software, which we would use in conjunction with the standard software platform to simulate the PLCs. So you need to install both of them. Now, to install the files, I've included a link here. This is a link of one of the guys whom I actually really watch on YouTube, and I will be referring you to many of his videos, which are quite very good. If you want to do the installation, then you can click on this link, watch the videos. I'm sure there will be an ad here. So, okay, well, there's no ad. I just closed it. When you watch the video, then it takes you through each process. I will also guide you when the time comes, but you can go through all the steps one by one. So like I listed here, there are 2 files. You download both of them. Before you start the installation, you also download the PLC simulator file. Then there is the TIA package manager, which I actually just found out some days or weeks ago myself. Um, it's a software, or let me say a platform that Siemens just recently released, which helps you to manage all your Siemens installation in one place. This is how it looks. We will also look at this when we start. You can read what it says here. We will discuss it when the time comes. So the download file is located in this part, on this part of the page. I've also shared a screenshot here. So when you install all the files, it will take some time, especially depending on the internet network that you have. So I would suggest, if you all are within the same space, if you're around each other, the best thing would be that each one of you choose which file to download, so that one person is not downloading this. You can see this file is 8 gig, this one is 4 gig, this is 2 gig. So there are quite a lot of heavy files. So what you can choose to do is download them separately. One person downloads this, another downloads this, another downloads this, another downloads this, and then you can share all the files amongst each other. When you have it complete, then you can begin the installation so that you're not downloading 10 gigabyte, 20 gigabyte of files, which might take hours based on whatever you have. But if you have very good internet, then this is also not a problem at all. So for us to proceed for today's discussions, I want to show you something. Now, after you finish all your downloads and the likes, I want you to also download this TIA selection tool. You can, I said download only. However, you can also use the online platform, which I would show you what it does now. So the TIA selection is, as an engineer, this is where you do your first, let me say, somewhat of a design. Now, many of the things you do will be based on experience. For example, if you've done some projects in the past, you already know what PLC to use, what input and output module to use, or if you work in an organization, they already have standard devices that they use, standard structures, or the customer specifies what you need to use. However, as an engineer, when you want to start a project, you need to go through all of these engineering processes, which means you need to check different documentations to be sure and to be able to pick the right hardware devices for the project you want to work on. For Siemens, Siemens created TIA selection tool, which is a tool which you can use to select the devices that you want to use and see if it works out before you actually recommend them or before you actually specify them to be what will be used. I hope um, that's clear. So it states here, it's quick, time-saving configuration. You can configure a complete project. It's easy because it's just in one tool, web-based. It's smart because there are actually some smart selection features in here that helps you to select the files or the devices directly. So let's go into TIA selection tool as an example. For example, you have a project, and this is where I would like to actually explain some things. So let's go to whiteboards. Screen sharing. Okay, so I have to stop sharing my. So, hold on. I want to write something so that you all can see. So let's go to this document. Okay. Am I able to write on this? One moment, please. Okay. So, for example, you want to start a project, and like I explained in our first session, you need to read different documentations. You need to understand what you really want to do. One of the documentations that an engineer needs to read is the wiring diagram. Usually, this is created by another engineer apart from the programming engineer or apart from the automation engineer. However, it is also something that an automation engineer can do if you have the skill. Um, One of the skills to be able to do a wiring diagram is to be able to use softwares like ePlan, AutoCAD, Engineering Base, things like that. So let's say, for example, you already have a wiring diagram. A wiring diagram shows you signals that you need to program. So for example, it states that let's use a simple home automation. So you have a home and you have a door. You have a door in the house. And then you say, when you come into the house, when you open the door, you want your PLC, this is the PLC, you want your PLC to start, to switch on the bulb, basically. So it means there should be a connection between your door and the PLC, right? And on your PLC, that connection should actually go to your input card. You know, we talked about I/O. So this is an input card. Let's say this is an output card. So it means your connection from the door should go from the door to an input card. And then the PLC processes this input, right? Then it should give an output to your bulb. So for example, you have a bulb here and you want this bulb to switch on. Your PLC reads the input and then it gives a command and the output card switches on the bulb. Simple, easy. Now, these signals, you need to know what type of signals are they, which we would still discuss also. But probably you know, probably you don't know at this time. The two main signal types you would encounter are called the digital signals and, for example, analog signals. This is the terminology we use in the programming world. You could also hear terms like discrete and continuous. So what does this mean? Digital means it is either 0 or 1. The door is either closed or open. It cannot be in between, right? The door is closed or the door is open. Same with discrete, just same term, same meaning, different terminology. Now, the difference for analog and continuous is it is not just 0 and 1. It can take different ranges over different period. This is what you call analog or continuous signals. As an example, when you talk about temperature, which is a term every one of you is familiar with. So, a temperature can be -10. In this, we're talking about, for example, centigrade. It can be -10. It can be 1 degree. It can be 20 degree. It can be 1000 degree. You understand what I mean? A temperature is not taking a value between 2 points. It's not just 0 or 1. So this is the basic differences between a discrete signal and a continuous signal. A continuous signal over the duration of time takes different values. A discrete signal or a digital signal takes only two states, 0 or 1. Now, why I explain that is because when you want to select devices, you need to know what device do I need to select. So we go back to our TIA selection tool, and for example, we go into catalog, right? Or let's say You want to create a project, you go to my projects, you just create something. For example, you say create new project. So let's say project training. Why should I go foundation? Create. So it creates this, and then this is what you have. So on this training project, you have different views, blah, blah, blah. I actually don't want to bore you with all of this, but majorly what I want to show you is, for example, you want to configure um, a station. Now, before we go back, let me also explain something. In the PLC world, there is something we call a rack. A rack. Last time we discussed a control panel, and we said a control panel is where our control devices sit in. Inside this control panel, we could have power supply, we could have relays, we could have switches, we could have a push button, we could have lightings, whatever. Inside this, there are many control devices. Inside this control panel, we could also have a PLC. So for example, we have this Siemens PLC, we have the input module, we have the output module, just like what we drew up here, in here. Now the PLC itself now has something that is called a rack. A rack is like a virtual cubicle. It's like a virtual cubicle for the PLC itself. It's virtual. Of course, physically there is a plate where you install each PLC, but virtually there is a rack, there is a cubicle for each PLC. And the rack is having different slot positions. For example, a rack, this is 0, 1, 2, different installation position, 3, 4, 5, blah, 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 up until whatever. Each PLC has its own limit. Now, for example, if this rack ends at 13 and I still need more modules, then I need to create another rack. I need to create another rack. And then when I create another rack, what do? Somehow I need to find what I can use to link this guy to this guy so that they can communicate. But that's a story for another day. Basically, just focus on this particular rack. Now we go back to our TIA selection tool and then we go to our catalog. A catalog is, many of you should be familiar with this, right? Because many vendors now use the word catalog. It's a list of devices that um, a manufacturer or a, a seller um, deals in. So for Siemens, when you go to catalog, it lists basically the type of things you can find in its catalog. It says plant configuration, controllers, PC, software. These are all the things that Siemens is involved with. For us, let us just go to controllers. We want to program. Now it gives us different titles, different list of available items, blah, blah, blah. Again, I don't want to bore you with so much information for now, so we go to basic controller. So if you go to basic controller, you see what it just showed you. It says based on Siemens, basic controllers are S7 1200, S7 1200 G2. So what happened to all the other controllers that we were seeing before? If I go back to all devices, we had a lot. So the only basic one here are these first two. What if I click on advanced controllers? Advanced controllers shows you this. Oh, finally. So S7 300 is only available as replacement part now, meaning from October of 2025, which was 2 months ago, they don't produce this as new devices anymore. Okay, good to know. But now let's go back to all devices and let's choose, for example, S71500. S71500 is currently the top level PLC for Siemens S7 series. So if we click on S71500, it brings us here. It says, okay, you're selecting S7500. What do you want to name the PLC? So let us say this is S7500 PLC training. Don't forget that we're still in the virtual space. We've not gone into our PLC software, nothing. We're just trying to see what our PLC does, what we can use, things like that. So it gives you a lot of information about this PLC. It says is this many innovation, equipment identifier. If you want to add so many things, the CPU design. Do you want to use fail-safe, motion control, all of these things later? Is it inside a control cabinet? How would it sit? Horizontal, vertical? Do you want to use DIN rail for this? You decide all of those. But basically, what I want to show you is this. If you already have this PLC now and you say, okay, I want to configure, right? Because I want to add other modules. Now it brings you to the PLC rack, which I was discussing earlier. And you see where it already points to. You see, we have 0, blah, 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 blah. But it's on 1. If you click on 1, it only shows CPUs, S7-1500 CPUs, Central Processing Units, meaning only CPUs can sit on position 1. If I click on position 0, let's see what it brings. S7-1500 system power supplies. Only power supplies can sit on position 0. So for example, just for us to proceed, I will choose one of these power supplies, for example. Now it puts it on position 0. I go back to position 1, I want to put something there. It tells me, okay, select. What do you want to use? Standard CPUs, compact CPU, different. I'll say, okay, I want standard CPU. Okay, it gives you different options, right? Different options. This is 300 kilobyte programmable, 450 kilobyte, all of this. So, for example, let me say I just choose this one randomly. Now, it will give you all features that this PLC can do. This has 256 megabyte memory card, or you can choose what memory card you want to use based on how heavy your program will be. So for example, let's go with the standard 256. Do you want OPC-UA? OPC-UA is a communication protocol. I'll say for now, yes, I want it enabled. Do you want pro diagnosis? I want number of supervisions, let's just say 1. Basically, we'll say, okay, insert module. It inserts it. You see, PLC is there. Now, if I click on 2, it doesn't bring PLC anymore. It then brings different accessories, digital modules, analog modules, communication modules, system power supplies if you want power supply again. So it tells you from this that from the second position after adding your power supply, your CPU, you can then add different things as much as you want. So for example, I go to module 2, I pick a digital module. Is it digital input, digital output, or you want a card that has both input and output in it? I would say I just want a digital input. Then it gives you different types: 16, 24 volts input, 16 channels, 16 channel, 24 volt input, I blah blah blah. All of this, please don't worry yourself about it yet. We will still discuss it. I'm just showing you some features that exist to you as an engineer when you're planning a project. So it inserts the guy. Again, for example, I want to choose analog module, I want analog output, I choose another one. So it tells me, do you want 16 pin, 50 pin? Basically, this software here allows you to pre-configure a PLC to see what works before you actually go into your software. Again, you don't necessarily need to do this. You don't necessarily need to do it. You can directly go into your software if you already know what you want. But again, these are the differences between an engineer and just a programmer, right? An engineer would plan a lot of things, because from this you can also check voltage requirement, what voltage is remaining on my guy, all the informations that I need to be able to do this very well. If you go to accessories, no accessories, limits, yes. So now based on the CPU that we've chosen, or IO modules, it says we already have two IO modules, number 32 maximum. It's giving us the height, the width, the depth, the mounting rail sizes. All of these we need to pass to the design engineer who will design the control panel. It's also telling us the amount of bytes that we have as output, analog output, digital input, power loss. So it's telling you the amount of power it takes, 10.8 watts. Then you need to go back to your power supply to check, right? How many watts do I have on this power supply? Currently it's 60 watts, right? So the more you add, the more power it takes. And when there's a problem, it will directly tell you, so that you can already pre-configure everything here. We'll come back to this at a later time. Another thing, the last link on this page that I want to show you is this one, which is a training module that Siemens also recently developed. It has a list of trainings, it has a lot of documents which individuals can take, can go through, can practice, can learn different programs. There are different languages there. DE is German, English, Spanish, French, Italian, whatever. But basically, you can even go through this. It says basics of programming PLC, FC programming, FB programming. All of this we will discuss. What FC is, what FB, what IEC is. Basic diagnostics. Yeah. Now, the task that I have for you is to go through this documentation, download all that you need to download, install all that you need to install, and if you have any challenges, then we will talk about it. I would also tell you to please give me a list 5 differences between S7 1200 and S7 1500. So I want you to also do this, and then we can discuss it. Okay, thank you very much.